You know, if some people have never been camping, never been to the outdoors, some people have never seen a cow or a sheep in real life. And if we're talking at that level, you can't say, oh, well, it's out there, no one's stopping them.
Hello, I'm Louise Minchin. I'm at Kendal Mountain Festival, and we're about to have an interview with wonderful Phil Young from OUTO. He's done a million things, so I think I might get him to introduce himself because he's a filmmaker, he loves the outdoors, he's making waves literally in the outdoors. Phil, how would you introduce yourself?
I mean, that's a good question.
Go for it then.
My mum asked me this question all the time. What do you actually do? And I'm never really too sure. At the moment, anyway, Louise, I'm a champion of people of colour in the outdoors. I grew up loving the outdoors from a very early age, and it's maybe it's an obvious story, but didn't see anyone who was like me, and I learnt the tools to be safe and to navigate socially within that space from an early age. So to me, being the outdoors is second nature. I mean, I love it. I live in London, but coming out to places like Kendal is not a problem for me. There are people, though, who live in Hackney or Dalston or wherever that don't have that privilege that I have, and it can be an intimidating space, and I try and help them find a place in the outdoors.
And it was your grandfather, was it, who introduced you to, what was it, walking? What was it?
The most wonderful man in the world, from Dundee in Scotland. I was an energetic child, let's say.
I was one of those.
And an only child.
Okay.
So when summer holidays came, I would be shipped out to outward bounds or adventure holidays up to the north of Scotland. And in the winter, I was very lucky. I was sent out to the Alps with Ski Club of Great Britain. So I learnt to ski from an 8 or 9 year old. And he was the driving force, just throw stuff at him and hope that some of it stuck. And a lot of it actually did. So cycling, running, skiing, snowboarding, surfing. I'm a rubbish surfer, but anything like that. And I just fell in love with it. And why wouldn't you?
Absolutely. And what was your favourite? Was it board, snowboarding, or, I mean, it's difficult to choose, isn't it?
Well, at the time, snowboarding wasn't invented at the time.
I think you might be a similar age to me.
We actually made our own snowboards.
You made your own snowboards?
At school, we went on a school trip.
Wow.
I think I was part-time in at Do It All, if you remember that. It was like a hardware store, and got bits of 2x4 and plywood and made these snowboards, and went out to Courmayeur with a pair of roller skates screwed to the top of them, top ticket, learnt to snowboard. So I love the mountains. That's my favourite.
That's incredible story.
Love the mountains. Skiing, first of all, snowboarding, now trail, and anything that will get me out in the mountains. Such a wonderful place. It doesn't matter if you can't do the sport, just being in that environment is breathtaking, and such an honour and a privilege to be able to explore those kind of environments.
I couldn't agree with you more. So how do you encourage people who find it intimidating or don't think it is a space for them?
Well, I work with brands a lot. I understand the power of brands. So I try and encourage them to understand the problems about barriers.
And so, I mean, for people who don't know those barriers, what might they be?
I mean, where do you start? I mean, first of all, there's the relationship with the outdoors. If you live in a city, in a tower block, without a garden, what is nature to you? Well, it could be urban foxes, it could be rats, it could be cockroaches. You can't actually, in some of these neighbourhoods, the civic planting are hostile. They're thorn bushes and rose bushes because you can't pull them away. So it's a hostile environment.
Even from those tiny beginnings.
Absolutely. You can't go into the parks for some people because it's the wrong postcode and you might get in trouble by another gang. What does the outdoors mean? There is a different interpretation, different lens in which we show the outdoors. So we have to interpret it in a different way, in a different language, whether it's visually, in spoken word, and actually getting people out there. It can be a scary place, especially if you're three generations deep and your parents and your grandparents didn't go to the countryside. A lot of it is generational. If some people have never been camping, never been to the outdoors, some people have never seen a cow or a sheep in real life. And if we're talking at that level, you can't say, oh well, it's out there, no one's stopping them.
Or give them a pair of boots or whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many barriers: time, money, perception, understanding, fear, all of these things, compounded on top of each other. Representation, that it's a hackneyed saying, but you really can't be what you can't see. People say it all the time, who are the heroes that I'm sticking on my bedroom wall? They're not mountaineers, they're not surfers, they're not snowboarders who look like me. They're generally kind of white dudes. That's fine, that's absolutely fine, but until we can have those heroes, how can kids look up to them? They've got rap stars and footballers and basketball players, which is also good. But if we want people in the outdoors and want to encourage people to come to the outdoors, we have to do better.
You do so much work in this area. You talk about brands. Let's just pick up on that. What can brands do? I mean, presumably, it could be as simple as having a brand ambassador.
Yeah, that's a very easy way of getting into it, for sure. What I would say on top of that is if you have a brand ambassador, listen to them, talk to them, because generally in those businesses, they don't have anyone from that community within the business making decisions. Don't have any decision makers. You don't have people holding the purse strings who are creating the strategy. So get people in, talk to the community that you want to impact. In fact, go to them. Where are they? Go into their communities and fully understand how to encourage them to get into the outdoors. Because even though marketeers are very smart and they might have degrees in what have you, they don't know.
It's about diversity. It's of thought, isn't it? And of background and so many different areas.
It's so nuanced.
Yeah,
really
I really understand.
People say, oh, what can we do about getting black people into the outdoors? It's 54 countries in Africa. It's not just black people. Asian people. It's like there's so much nuance to it all, and people have to kind of start to realise that you wouldn't target Northern Irish people in the same way as you would do Portuguese, because they're different communities, different cultures. The same thing happens.
You talked about having heroes on your bedroom wall or whatever it is, and you're a filmmaker, so filmmaking can be incredibly powerful as well. Is that why you do it in some ways?
I love the medium. I've never been good with numbers. I'm slightly dyslexic, although words been very useful for me in that regard. I see the world through shapes and colours. So to be able to tell the story through photography or filmmaking is a lot easier for me. And it has been powerful. Some of the films I've made, I see people of colour around here or other events, and they go, oh, you did that film. That got me into skiing. That got me into running. It does have an impact, but it's finding the stories and telling them with sympathy and empathy and being authentic.
Tell a little bit for people who've not been to Kendal Mountain Festival, because there is so much to do. Isn't it incredible? I mean, I'm finding it difficult to choose between the films and the event. That there's so many things. I had a moment like you had last year when I walked into breakfast, and it's sort of like, for me, like Glastonbury for people from the outdoors.
Very well put. This morning, I just had, I think, egg and beans and stuff, and I was waiting for a taxi because it's pouring down with rain here. Labka Sherpa, who is the star of Mountain Queen.
Yeah, which I watched last night.
Did you cry?
I cried. I think we all cried.
The most accomplished mountaineer you've never heard of, 10 summits of Everest, walks past me. I had a little chat with her. She walked past me. I sat down and thought, oh, that was amazing. Then Hilary Giraldi, who's an amazing trail runner who did an FKT of Mont Blanc in 7 hours, comes out, oh, hi, Phil.
And she's absolutely tiny. She is a pocket rocket, isn't she?
An incredible woman.
She's absolutely amazing. And I just can't explain to people.
And that was at breakfast.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's there's all things going on in the evening. If you want to party, I think you might have been to one. I don't know. Just guessing.
Maybe one or two. I've been known to burn the midnight oil, let's say, on the party scene. But it is a fantastic event, and you've got first timers, you've got filmmakers, you've got poets, writers, photographers, and people who just love, and athletes, of course, who can be in the bar and see your heroes next to you, and you have a real honest conversation.
It's just like nothing I've ever known. And I've been today, you know, there's something literally for everyone here, I think. I've been today, it's quite cold, isn't it, Phil? I went for a little dip, let's say.
Well, you're braver than myself. I've made excuses of why I didn't go running today.
I was worried about you because I knew you were doing the interview. I was like, is he out there in this? Absolutely.
Yeah, I made an excuse.
Well, you know what,
you actually are my excuse.
So
thank you for that.
You were my excuse as well for not running. So, do you know what? And that's another. You know, that's an important message actually. I think because you don't want the outdoors to be scary. You don't have to be scared. You don't have to be cold. You don't. But you know, there are benefits. I mean, you know, there are benefits to all of that as well. So I think that is a good kind of message as well. You need to take it as you want to meet it. Would that be fair? What would you say?
The outdoors can be whatever you want it to be, right? And I think, but taking the step into the outdoors for the first time is the most important one. There's always an excuse not to do it, but life is short, you know, and the world is so beautiful, so amazing. Even just walking around in Kendal, you see things like, oh my gosh, this is beautiful. You know, to be inspired to go out more, to see the films, to read the books, to meet the people who've got the stories. You know, we should celebrate the outdoors more. We should look after it, and we should seize every opportunity to go out.
I completely agree with you. It's been an absolute joy. Should we try next year not to arrange the interview when the run is on, and we'll try and go?
That's a deal.
Thank you so much, Phil. What a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you.